The shadows will take you.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna go over the Shadow Priest legendaries. Let's firstly take a look at what each one does to get an idea of what we're going to be working with next season. Starting with the Night Fae, we have the legendary Bonsamni's Pact. A legendary with the effect each time you take damage from Shadow Word Death, your execute, while your Fey Guardians are active, your Fairy's effectiveness is increased by 25%. This legendary can go on a rune carving piece of a helmet or a waist. To clarify, the way this legendary works is it increases the effectiveness by 25% of the baseline value. So the defensive fairy that reduces damage taken by 20% with one stack of this legendary will increase it to 25%. At two stacks it will increase it to 30% and so on. This is a bit how it works with the others as well. This legendary is interesting because this is pushing Shadow Priest of the Night Fae Covenant to play as a support class more than anything else, especially in high level M+. I think from what I've seen, this legendary will rely heavily on the state of Fire Mage, as Fire Mage is the best spec to give both PI and cooldown reduction to. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of this new support Shadow Priest playstyle. However, it's good to see that they are looking at different gameplay styles depending on what Covenant you play. However, generally speaking, if this legendary sees play, it will be in a coordinated group and not pugs. Rating wise, it could see play in the same way as M+, though it would be a boring gameplay style as you'd always be at the bottom of the meters and buffing someone else's damage. Next, we have the Vanfir legendary, Shadow Word Manipulation, which has the effect Mind Games gains 1 additional charge and its cast time is increased by 50%. This effect is quite weak when it comes to PvE. This legendary is looking very weak as the only bonus this legendary gives you is having 2 Mind Games at the start of the fight. This looks to be more of a PvP legendary rather than a PvE one, obviously, but generally speaking, I don't think we'll ever see this legendary being played in PvE unless there's some mechanic in the future around the mind game spell. Although it does a bunch of single target damage, it's not what we're looking for in a legendary, especially compared to legendaries like Stratagem and Prism that increase your damage significantly, even in their nerfed versions. Now, these two legendaries that I just mentioned are 100% confirmed, so their effect is looking to be exactly what I just mentioned. However, when it comes to Kyrian and Necrolord, that are still prone to change. Let's start with the Necrolord legendary, Pallid Command. With the effect, casting Unholy Nova summons a Maldraxxite champion to aid you for X amount of time. Each time an ally is healed by Unholy Transfusion, your Covenant ability when you're playing as Necrolord Priest, your Maldraxxite champion's healing and damage done is increased by 1%, up to a maximum of we don't know percentage. Out of all the legendaries mentioned in this list, this one is the one we lack information on so far, and could turn out to be either completely OP or completely useless. However, this is definitely a legendary to look out for because it's part of the Necrolord, and Necrolord is in a good spot generally when it comes to Shadow Priest. It was second spot for a long time, and it still is. So it wouldn't take much for Shadow Priest to play Necrolords instead of Night Fae as main. Lastly, we have the Kyrian legendary, Sphere's Harmony. With the effect, Boon of the Ascended's cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds, up to 60 seconds for each stack of Boon of the Ascended, consumed by Ascended Eruption. This legendary could change Kyrian to somewhat viable, though I would hope they add some buffs to it or to the Kyrian for Shadow Priest. The main reason as to why Kyrian is weak for us is the fact that the ability Boon of the Ascended has a 3-minute cooldown on it, which does not line up at all with a PI cooldown. This legendary fixes a primary weakness and still has the potential to be buffed, so overall, it could actually become good and make Kyrian a good choice for Shadow Priest. The legendaries that are confirmed, which is Vanfir and Nightfey, are very unlikely to be played aside for niche plays or for coordinated top end groups. As for the other two, we have yet to see if they are good enough to beat both Stratagem and Prism, which would be a feat. Overall, these last two legendaries are going to decide if we're going to play Necro, Kyrian, or Nightfey, as Vanfey is looking quite terrible compared to the other three. But more importantly, what do you guys think? Is there a Covenant you'd rather play, or do you think the new changes will be good for us Shadow Priests? Let me know in the comments section. Depending on the changes they might make, I'll make a follow-up video on this topic. I thank you very much for watching. Sub, like, and hit that bell button if you enjoyed my content, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!